Hello and welcome to the Slackware ARM vlog. And I'm Stuart Winter, the platform architect and lead developer. And we have Brent Earl, who is a Slackware contributor and a Slackware ARM contributor and developer as well. Hello, Brent.
Hello.
Haven't seen you on, well, haven't done a call for
Yeah,
quite some time, actually.
it's been a while, yeah.
Hmm. How have you been?
Oh, I've been okay. Just kind of hanging out, doing stuff. Um, Banging my head against this laptop, trying to get it to work.
So I thought we'd have a look at the roadmap and see how we're doing against that. So let's have a look at the roadmap here. And so I made this image here, this slide, and just to sort of capture the high level details, because there is further down here, there is like a more of an exposition of a detailed exposition of what's been done and what we're thinking about, and various other things. But this is like a high level overview of the key things that are on the roadmap and
Yeah,
what's been done recently. And I was thinking, there's been quite a bit of work done over the last, well, I don't know, few months, well, several months actually. And I think that the project's in a really good place. Actually, I think it could be, if there was a release of Slackware tomorrow, I think I'd be perfectly happy with how it currently is.
yeah.
Because we've
I
got,
was I was thinking the same thing. Because every time we add more hardware, gotta write more documentation and stuff. So I was thinking maybe just waiting on any other new hardware till after we're back on a new development cycle. But
well, yeah, I see what you mean. But the usually the documentation, well, not usually, but most of the time, particularly now, the documentation is the last thing to write, because
yeah,
originally it wasn't. I did it, or well, we both did it whilst it was being developed, so that the information could be captured, because it was all brand new. So I think
yeah,
what a lot of people don't seem to realize is that, like, I think some people have got, because they take someone else's build script and then just build it and think that somehow it just appeared out of nowhere. You know, it's
yeah.
just it just appeared. Somebody just lifted a rock one day and found a build script, in the
Yeah.
wild. But when you're actually building this stuff and porting it from scratch, then you have to build a lot of this stuff. And part of the documentation, or part of the process, is capturing how you've actually installed it, so you can document it, so you don't have to think about it again.
Yeah,
But now it's different, because most of the documentation is copy pasted from existing documentation, particularly for the Raspberry Pi and anything else that's U-boot based. Most of it's just the same. So I don't. So for example, I don't think that. So even if you wanted to proceed with the Raspberry Pi 5 support, or anything else for that matter, you don't have to
yeah,
document it. You just build the changes in, and it just is there in the background, and it works if it works. If it doesn't matter, because everyone's using it.
yeah, that's true.
Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't.
I
It's like
think that I'm probably like the only person that uses Slackware that has this ThinkPad.
show us. Okay, Brent was showing us before we started recording. Was showing me before we started recording. You're showing me your X. I kept calling it an X31S, because that X31 is an actual thing, which I have. It's actually funny. Actually, you guys do actually have one over here. Yeah, I do. Look, here we go. This is an X31. This is an X31, which is what I keep confusing. Oh, the lighting's amazing. Here is it. So this is an X31.
Yeah, and then you got mine. It looks exactly the
Hang on.
same. It's just newer.
No, stop sharing the screen. Now there we go. Now it's better. It doesn't.
Yeah, it looks exactly the same. It's like the same size and everything.
Is it actually
It's
blurred though? Can you see it properly, or is it?
it's blurred out,
Oh, it's all
kind of
blurred
from
out.
the
Okay.
filter.
That's
It likes to show you
ah.
the yeah,
No, I know what it is. It's because I've got the background blur on because there's loads of junk in the background in my office. That's why. So it thinks this is
yeah.
like an object. So it doesn't blur the keyboard. Anyway, yeah. So I kept calling it an X31, but it's not. It's an X13S, isn't it?
Yeah, and
So
they don't make it anymore. I don't know why, but
they don't. It's not made anymore.
no, they don't offer it on the website anymore.
Oh, okay. That's a shame. Yeah, so you're definitely the only one in the world that's going to use Slackware on it then.
Yeah, right. That's why I'm like, there's no rush. I'm like, no one's gonna like run out and buy one off eBay or something.
No, I don't think so. Okay. So Brent's been given this the IBM. It's not sorry, it's not an IBM, is it? It's a Lenovo.
Yeah, Lenovo. Yeah.
Lenovo. I always think of IBM because that's IBM used to. Lenovo bought the IBM laptop business. Okay. So let's. But yeah, you can show us sometime when you've got Linux running on it again.
Yeah.
See how it kind of how it looks. So going back to where we were.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff done on this roadmap.
Here we go. Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff done on the roadmap. So the key things to me is I think as to sort of backtrack a bit, I think it's in a really good place, the AArch64 port now because you've got referenceable the Rock Pro 64 and the Raspberry Pi and various other ones. They're really good as a reference implementation now, which is, I mean, that's how I use them. So anything that's new, I use that as a reference implementation. So all of that U-boot stuff is done. Anything that uses U-boot's basically easy enough to just copy paste it as long as it works upstream. It's quite easy. For example, if you want to add a new RK3399, which is the sock that's in the Rock Pro 64 and the Pinebook Pro and others. So somebody on the forum was asking about the Orange Pi 4 LTS, I think it
Yeah.
was. And that's just really, I mean, well, in the case of inside of Slackware, that's just adding some match, adding some strings to a match condition in some shell script that says if it's this model, also load these drivers or load these modules. So it's not particularly onerous anymore. And then you just need the U-boot build for that particular model, hardware model, and stuff like that. But I think as a sort of base system, it's in a really good place. It's pretty easy now to onboard new hardware models, even for U-boot stuff. But then I took all of the work that you'd done for the EFI based for the Honeycomb LX2, and then built the extended that into being able to install on any EFI based system using by making an ISO to put on to put on a DVD, but it's not going to happen. An bootable ISO image to put on a USB stick or SD card or whatever, or even virtualized optical media. And so that is to me at the moment, if we have a brand new EFI capable ARM64 machine, you should be able to boot Slackware AArch64 on it, and it'll probably work
Yeah.
for the most part. Even if it's not actually supported in directly, it'll go in generic mode and just load all of the module drivers that we know about, and then probably it'll work. If not, then you can probably easily make it work. But other than that, it's going to be so much easier. You don't have to faff around with bootloaders, don't have to do any of that
Yeah,
stuff. You just use Grub.
I
It's
think
just
the biggest issue was like we were developing all that part while we're adding hardware. So it was like and things were changing like every hour basically how we were doing it. So like every day I'm doing something different, adjusting the docs, whatever. But
yeah, that's all settled. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was like, oh yeah, you've done this. I've just rewritten it all. It didn't work. Need to change it all. But
yeah,
yeah,
right.
that's cool. Yeah, that's all gone now. It's all. I mean, it took me maybe a week to get the the bootable ISO working for the virtualization
Yeah.
on the Apple hardware. So I'm really pleased with that because I mean, any new system that's EFI based will be pretty easy to support properly, I think. So yeah, so to go back to the roadmap. So recently, I've got Slackware AArch64 para virtualized in 3 of the virtualization hypervisors. I don't know if there are anymore. There probably are some others, but on UTM, VMware, and Parallels, and that they all work in pretty much the same way. I've also built a document for any generic EFI based system, so you can just follow that document to install it. It's pretty much a copy of the Honeycomb LX2 document. And then I think most of the tooling is done for the boot process and all that kind of stuff to enable much more frictionless forward momentum, in a sense that it's just a lot easier to do stuff, to get stuff done. So I'm really pleased with that. What else have we done? Oh yeah, so oh yes, that's
The
right. So
QEMU works too with uh, all the Red Hat virtualization stuff, KVM and libvirt on Linux. So you could probably add that to the virtualization list too.
oh, I haven't got that. I'll need to
Yeah,
look into it.
it just loads a generic and then finds the KVM uh, whatever, and it just loads everything it needs. So
Oh, oh
yeah,
yes, yeah. The support's in there. I just haven't actually seen it in action.
yeah,
Because I haven't. I wanted to. Yeah, QEMU should be on this list actually. Is it on here?
yeah. I
Um,
think there in the code there's a thing that looks for KVM
there
or
is. Yeah.
yeah. So it just works now. I was using it a little bit ago on this laptop actually, and it's a little bit slower, but it works well enough.
Okay. Is that using just running QEMU from the command line, or is it using the GUI tool?
Yeah, I'm using the GUI, but it'll work from the command line too. So
Okay. Because I wanted to. The problem I've got with the yeah. I remember now. So I've got there's so much going on. I looked at this a while ago, and I wanted to get it. I wanted to ideally use the GUI for it because it's just kind of easier in most respects. But when I looked at when I looked here, it it required a whole bunch of different. Oh, well, that device tree compiler is fine. This is hmm.
yeah, all I do is I just generate all the Q files for slackbuilds.org and I just do install with SBO package. And in the list, I just put QEMU, libvirt, and virt manager, and it all just
Okay.
works. Yeah, on x86. There's no complicated anything, or it just works now.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, and I believe it works on the honeycomb too. Uh, you know, the same process. There's a page on the wiki I think I added a long time ago about it. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
Yeah, it
Is some of these on here though? Because there's so many. Oh, no, there isn't. There's a whole bunch of. There's so many Python packages now that some of these might actually. Yeah, like that's. Well, that's really old though. I don't know if that's Python, which Python that one is, but anyway, yeah, some of these packages on current might already be these dependencies. I mean, might already be in Slackware anyway. So I thought it was more. I thought there was more to it than that, though. I thought there were more packages that I needed. Hmm. Okay.
no. I mean, there's a Q file that has everything like, let's see,
Okay.
like
All right.
yeah, it has like a few dependencies for QEMU, and then libvirt, two dependencies, well, including itself in the list.
Okay.
But the GUI is what uses the most. And
Oh, I
uses
thought.
like it adds spice and
Ah, which is
stuff
the
that
GUI then?
makes it easy to use it. So
Which is the GUI? I thought the QEMU package included the GUI. Does it not?
no, I use Vert Manager.
Ah, right.
Yeah,
That'd be what it is then.
yeah,
I remember
and
one of
it's
them had
not,
tons of.
yeah, and
Ah,
it's
yeah, that was it. I was like, oh, God, I'm not installing all that stuff.
yeah. There's not that many dependencies, and I was
Okay.
building it like with a shell script automatically on the honeycomb,
Okay.
but that, you know, so
Okay. That'd be quite cool to get that done.
yeah,
I wanted to see how fast that was. I mean, I don't know if anyone really would want to use that. I mean, if it's
it's fast
reasonably,
enough.
oh, is
Yeah,
it? Okay.
yeah.
Hmm.
It's a lot faster than like when we were doing ARM 32 stuff and
Well,
trying to
yeah,
get
that's
that to work. Yeah. So,
no. Well, I mean, no. I mean, I've decided once the next Slackware release is made, that's the end of life for 32-bit ARM. I'm done with it.
yeah.
Once I've migrated my machines to 64-bit ARM, you know, then we're done with 32-bit. It's
Yeah.
the lid is closed, it's nailed, and the dirt's poured on top of it. And
Well, like you update it, and then like an hour later, there's an update, and you're building everything, and it's just so slow.
yeah, the
So,
machines are just really slow. They're okay. I mean, to be fair, they're quite good for what I use it for. It's actually fine, but well, it's not fine because it doesn't allow me to use my full fiber optic speed to the house. But other than that. But
yeah,
other than that, the machine's good, but it's just too slow to work with. It's just like that's one of the reasons why I stopped using them or stopped developing for it. Anyway, where were we? So yeah, so the QEMU stuff, that'd be quite nice to have. If you've documented how you work, how you get that working, that'd be quite cool. Even
yeah,
if it's just using slackbuilds.org to build
yeah.
the dependencies. Um, so I've also so yeah, so I've got you can now boot any so in the installer you can now boot any generic EFI based system even if it's unsupported, and it will now offer you to install to install grub, and it will just install grub for you with the default config file. So so if you get a machine that's not supported, directly supported, it'll still install grub and you've got a much better chance of booting the OS afterwards. So I've done
Yeah.
that. I've switched the Honeycomb LX2 from a dedicated image to the generic ISO. So there's one less. Oh yeah, did I show you how I did that? The not sure I've got the thing open. Oh no, I don't have it. Basically, so basically, there's now we don't the Honeycomb doesn't have its own whatever it was. Well, it doesn't have its own installer image anymore. So that saved like 4 or 5 gigs of storage and data transfer and everything else. One less
Yeah.
thing to build. And the way I've done it is by having uh, the grub config. Where is it actually? Is it S? When I get so busy with stuff, I can't remember where everything is. Um, oh yeah, I also renamed all of what was called SD cards dot build and all of that. It's now just called disk DSK image because it's not just for SD cards. So I
Yeah.
renamed everything. Um, where is it though? Where does the grub config live?
It's in
Oh,
the
it is.
platform directory.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's it.
under generic. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's it. How do you remember where it is?
I was just looking at it a little
Oh
bit
right,
ago.
okay.
Yeah.
Eventually I can find it, but
Incidentally.
yeah. So what I've done here is I've just got the single grub config file, and then you just pick. Oh, this one here, you just pick that for the virtualization set for installing in virtual platforms, and then you've got the other one for you've got a menu item explicitly for the X31S. I've done that's wrong. That should be 13S.
Yeah.
Damn. 13S. There we go. I'll fix that now. 13S. I guess I probably need to change. Yeah. So you've got individual menu items for specific hardware, all off one bootable ISO. So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. I'm pretty pleased with that. And then well, I've also split out the Raspberry Pi guide. So what I've done is I split out the hardware setup because this was originally part of the Raspberry Pi 4 install guide, the one with the photos about how to install, how to physically connect it up, which is basically for me because I didn't ever have to think about it again. But somebody else can follow this to have a brand, you know,
Yeah.
can follow the recipe. So I've split that out into its own guide. And then this way, this here can be eventually have it renamed so it's just the Raspberry Pi generic install guide. And then it can cover all of them because I think everything in here should be applicable to the Raspberry Pi 5 as well, even if you have to download a different version of the,
Yeah.
you know, I'm hoping that
It's just a little bit of firmware that's missing, I think. So, but
for
Raspberry Pi 5 specific stuff. So,
well, the firmware should already be in where is it? Should already be in here because I downloaded the package, the HWMBW Raspberry Pi package contains the Raspberry Pi 5 firmware as well. I mean, I haven't
oh,
updated it in
okay.
a few months, but it
Yeah,
does.
so you just have to put it together. I mean, I'll do that easy. Just,
Well, I have. It's been there for months.
yeah.
Yeah. It's been in there for ages. Uh, yeah. So it's in the, it's, I did it. Yeah, I did it ages ago. Yeah.
Man,
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So I added the firmware for the Raspberry Pi 5. It probably will need an update though, because I haven't done it in a few months, but I can do that. If you want, when you're ready to start working on it, I can do that. There's
yeah.
also also the newest version of the release candidate for U-Boot has some more Raspberry Pi 5 support in it. So I can take the latest release candidate. It seems to work fine on the Raspberry Pi 4. So when you're ready,
Okay.
just let me know and I'll update it all.
Yeah, I just gotta, I was thinking of just merging the Raspberry Pi 4 build scripts for like the installer and stuff to just be both. And
Uh,
I don't know. To like make it
uh,
more generic for Raspberry Pi in general. Um,
it is already though, isn't it? So it should in here, isn't it? So like the BCM, which is this one? That's
just
the
a
Raspberry
Raspberry
Pi
Pi 3. That's
3?
the
Yeah,
3.
that's it. Yeah. So oh, okay. This would be
That's the 4.
this. Yeah, this though. This already contains the Raspberry Pi 5 stuff. Because if you look at
Yeah.
the oh, okay, it doesn't have. Oh yeah. So the Raspberry. Okay. Yeah. This should all be generic because you can. This is the quite. That's the cool thing also about their boot config for the proprietary bootloader. You can just make a stanza for the Raspberry Pi 5 and include all of the config for it
Okay.
in there.
Well, yeah, I remember talking about this like, I don't know, like midwinter. It's been a few months since I looked at it.
Ah,
But
yeah. So yeah, me too. Actually, I haven't looked at this stuff for ages. Um, so in here, this got renamed. So the kernel
oh, yeah.
module loader was renamed. Maybe that's what you're thinking of.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, we renamed that 27XX. So that has the Raspberry Pi 5. Well,
Has
it just
both.
matches on Raspberry Pi 5, to be honest,
Yeah.
assuming that most of the modules will be the same. I mean, even if they're not, if we load an extra module on a Raspberry Pi 4, it's fine by me. So that will just need a bit of extra work to add in any other missing modules. But
Yeah.
so yeah,
That would be easy at the pre-boot shell.
well, yeah, exactly. That's what it's there for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, So this this should probably be renamed to BCM27XX
Yeah,
unless it doesn't work, but you can find that out for yourself.
yeah.
I'm kind of hoping it's the same though. I mean, if it'll just need the newest version of U-boot, fine. That can be shared with the Raspberry Pi 4. I'm sure a single version of U-boot will suffice, will work for both the Raspberry Pi 4 and 5. That's how it's done so
Yeah.
far. It's worked like that for the Raspberry Pi 3, and then it's just a case of what the assets are, which is what's command line.
A comment.
I love that. Well, yeah, I'm happy that I've actually commented all of this so that I know what it's about. Okay, so then you might just need to change. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so this would probably just be renamed 27XX.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I'll just do that now, actually. Okay, there we go. Oh, hold on. Is that going to break the
The Raspberry Pi 3, yeah.
uh
Maybe. Maybe. I don't remember exactly. I don't
no,
know.
it shouldn't do. No, I'm just thinking more about does it actually need the 27? Does it actually need the
Oh, you mean in U-boot?
no, I'm just thinking more about does it actually use, because I'd need to rename the, let me see, what is it? It's a U-boot config name, chipset name, asset file output. So it does. Oh, okay. So it's RPI 2711 chipset name. Oh, I just need to double check actually. No, I'll put that back for the time being until I get a chance to look at it properly.
Yeah, I have a half working Raspberry Pi 3 somewhere, but like the network doesn't work and there's something wrong with different parts of it. It's just old. I use it so much. Um, Shorted out or something. But I think QEMU has a machine type for the Raspberry Pi 3, so probably tested in that.
Um, no, the Raspberry Pi 3 isn't going to break. It was just more about whether the actual name breaks
Mhm.
anything, whether it's needed for U-boot, it should be fine. Just a case of whether it's actually one, two.
I think it would just be like the file names is the only that's going to change.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. So it's the chipset. It's amazing. Like 3 or 4 years ago, I actually knew all this code inside out. I'm glad it's well documented though.
Yeah,
Chipset build function. I don't think it's used for anything else. I don't
it's
think so.
probably just to echo it.
Ah, here we go. Device type, but that's different anyway. So, of course, yeah, for device type, that has to have the proper name for the U, because that's to do with the U-boot config definition. So that's different. Device type is. Oh, how does it know about that? Okay. Crikey, there's so much code. It's just nuts.
Just run it with the -X for bash, and you can watch it all.
Uh, Yeah, good.
Add a break or something in there, or an exit, I
Oh
guess.
no, I know how this works. It's fine. I know. I remember what's going on now. Yeah. No, okay. I'll look at. Yeah, when you're ready, let me know. I'll just rename it. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah,
So that's in a good place. So split the guide out so that, meaning that when the Raspberry Pi 5 is ready, I can just change the install guide so that it says Raspberry Pi 5 on it, as well as forward.
yeah.
It should be a generic document, I think. That's done. And I've also upstreamed some AArch64 updates to the Slackware x86 project as well. But there's still a whole bunch of installer stuff that needs to go upstream. There's a lot of fixes and, well, actually, it's not really fixes so much. It's more just porting patches,
Yeah.
and mixed in with some good stuff, mixed in with some complete hacks. So I know how it's funny. I know how I want it to be designed, how I want him to do it, but it's just like at the bottom of the stack at the moment.
Do you have
So
like a Git repo that you track that stuff in?
no, I've just got all of the code
Oh,
in the source tree.
yeah,
But most of it, though, it's just everything is good. It's just that it's a case of how do I need to update the installer build script first, so that it works in a similar fashion to um, other parts of the ARM build system, so that it's able to detect if you've got a particular function set and call it if you do. So that way I can abstract the ARM parts of the installer build system into a different script, so that
yeah,
I don't have to, so I can maintain it separately while still using the main upstream installer build system. But
yeah,
then so that bit's easy enough to do. But then I've still got some other, like, various patches to the actual build, to the installer itself. So there's various patches in the run control system, the init system, and throughout the installer. So there's, yeah, and how I upstream those to Patrick is something I haven't figured out yet. Because the funny thing is like, when if you actually don't, if you just work on a small piece of something, that's all you think about. You think, oh, I've done it all. It all makes sense to me, and then you expect someone else to read it and understand what you've done, when they don't look at that stuff in months, if not years. And then
yeah.
giving someone here's a big patch I've done to the installer, and expecting them to just take it is a bit of an ass.
Bunch
But
of
that's usually
bunch
why
of if
people.
statements saying if it's ARM, do this.
Well, it doesn't at the moment, so that's one of the ways I was thinking of doing it. Yeah. So yeah, just to, but also just I was thinking of having, like, where so in some cases, instead of actually patching in code, I've just made it call a script that's stuffed in the installer somewhere, so that everything is just self-contained and it just gets called at the appropriate time. So I've done stuff like that just to try and minimize the patch, minimize patch maintenance. But yeah, anyway, I might get around to that at some point. Maybe during the winter when it's really raining and cold, I might do it. I've got time.
Yeah.
It's not exactly top of the list. But I was also thinking about the Raspberry Pi 5 support, because I was thinking I might get a Raspberry Pi 5 as a new multimedia machine to play, like Netflix and stuff like that. My um, sort of garden studio that we're getting built. But I was thinking the problem is that I'm not sure that it's really suitable for doing that. I know people use it for
Yeah,
multimedia.
well, it's like there was a recent thread on Linux questions. It depends on like how you have all the media encoded and how big the files are and stuff. And
Mm,
the Raspberry Pi 5 might be able to handle most of it. But if you have like a large like DivX or something like that, it doesn't work well. So um that's why I just
okay.
continue to use my PlayStation for my TV box. But
Yeah, yeah. Because yeah, I was thinking it might be quite a cool project, because that way I can actually get a Raspberry Pi 5 and then also just do some of the development for it. But if it's going to have problems with anything, I'm not interested in it, because it's not for me, it's for the kids to use in lieu of using, because I always have a micro um, PC for the house, like in the lounge. It's just a small Asus micro PC that's like virtually silent. It runs Windows 11, and that works
yeah,
great. but I'm not going to buy another Windows license. So, uh,
No.
you know, I'm not going to do that because then you have to get an
We'll see.
antivirus
I'll
for it as
try
well.
to I'll investigate that more while I'm adding support to see like how well it will work. Like
Yeah.
let's say you get a hat to plug in like coaxial from your cable, see how that works type of thing. Because that's really where you want it, right? You want it coming from cable.
Well, it's going to be connected to the through Ethernet. It's going to be wired in. It's not going to use
Oh,
Wi-Fi.
okay. No, I mean like
Um,
coaxial cable for like cable connection, like TV.
oh no, no, we don't do any of that business. No, there's just
Oh.
it's we only use streaming over the internet. We don't even have an aerial on the house. We don't even we don't do any of that business here. God no, man. I haven't watched live
Yeah.
TV in years. No, no. Good God. What world are you living in?
I got an antenna, man. Just hang out with an
Antenna?
antenna.
No, we no. We don't have. We
I've
actually
been-
no. We do have one on the house roof, but it's disconnected. It's never been connected in the whole time in like over 10 years that we've lived here.
Yeah, my only live TV is through an HD antenna that I bought for like 30 bucks several years ago. And I get like 100 channels for free. It's awesome.
Well, is it just like people selling stuff?
No, it's like there's all the basic channels where there's like news and sports and they
Oh,
have
okay.
like the NASA channel and all this stuff. It's like saying when anyone buys cable, but
Oh, all right. No, so I was thinking. So I was thinking about doing that, but yeah, if it's going to be a pain, then I'd rather just use an x86 64 and just move my. Oh, so that's it. Yeah, I might. Yeah, I'll think about that. I'm not in an urgent rush to do it. So I could just move my x86 64 micro PC from my office into there, and just use it. Let them use it as a desktop machine, and it can still be
yeah,
part of the build cluster. But but then I was thinking in that case, I might buy an Apple MacBook, no, not a MacBook, a Mac Mini M4,
yeah,
and have like a quite high spec. It'd be quite expensive. That's the only thing. That would allow me to actually have the a permanent machine as a build machine, which I could also use as a desktop workstation and use it as a to house the stable releases as VMs rather than physical machines, which is how I've always done it.
yeah.
So I'd
Well,
rather,
those things, the Mac Mini is like really, really high spec.
yeah,
I
they're really
think
good.
it probably makes the honeycomb look like crap and
Well,
all this stuff. So.
well, even this machine I'm using now, which is a MacBook M2, that's much faster than a Honeycomb.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it boots in no time flat. I used it recently because I saw Patrick had have to rebuild some packages against the new GCC version. So I thought, not seen that before. So instead of just asking him how he done it, I thought, I know, I'll just install. It takes 6 minutes to do a full install of Slackware in virtualization on the MacBook. So I'll just do a full install, reboot it, upgrade GCC, and see what happens. Nothing broke, so I just took the packages and put it back on Honeycomb and built everything there instead. But I thought it's
yeah,
so easy and fast and slick to just test stuff out now in no time whatsoever. So
yeah. Right on your work laptop, you can still work and do that, and
yeah,
so
it's unbelievable.
yeah,
So, but if I actually get my own MacBook Mini that's actually for the project, then I can actually potentially just move the entire build process onto there and
yeah,
just use. At the moment, though, I'm quite happy with the Honeycomb LX2 speed. It's obviously slower than the MacBook, but it's fine. It works. It's fast enough for what I need with all,
yeah.
using
You
good
have
system.
like a bunch of SATA and stuff on it, so it's really easy to. I don't know. Maybe it's slower, but you can store everything on it and do everything you need. So
Yeah, it's fine. It's good. It's good for what it is. Now, this, if you look on the future innovation section here, talking about the Raspberry Pi. So I had this idea. I thought if the Raspberry Pi, um, if if it transpires that the Raspberry Pi 5 works properly or properly, if it works well with the Raspberry Pi kernel fork, which is the Raspberry Pi developers fork of the Linux kernel with all of their changes and um, you know with hardware support in it. If it works really well with that kernel, then I could just build a variant of the installer image, the all-in-one installer image that contains the Raspberry Pi kernel fork. So it boots the installer with the Raspberry Pi kernel fork, and then it
Yeah.
installs the Raspberry Pi kernel fork package. So you boot up, it never uses a Slackware, the regular Linus Torvalds kernel. It just uses that one. Because I thought to myself, I could actually do that if the Raspberry Pi 5 works really well with it for my purpose. So I could, but I would never. The thing is, that means writing a script. And this got me into what I was talking about on IRC the other day. Is I thought, I don't want to write a script to do that. I could, but I don't want to. So I thought I could just ask ChatGPT to write the build script for me to convert the AIO image for the Raspberry Pi into that. Because I can just describe ChatGPT. I can describe to it what the format of the ISO is. Is it an ISO? No, the disk. What the format of the disk image is in terms of the partitions and the layout, and then just tell it, here's the variables. Here's where here's where the packages are. Replace this with this, and then I could just tidy it up. The script. It doesn't need to be an amazing script because it's not going to be I'm not going to actually release this as a, as an option. It's just something I'll upload in the experimental directory and just leave it like that. But I thought I could, if I actually want to do that, I might just get ChatGPT to write the script to do it for me, and I just describe to ChatGPT how I want the script to be written.
Well, you kind of already have it done. There's a script for the alternate kernel source.
Oh no, but that just builds the packages though. I'm talking about. I don't want to build a new image because that means changing the build scripts that build the images, and that's quite a bit of work, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Because I'd have to test it. So I'm not interested in invasive changes like that because it's the right, Slackware is not a distribution that ships with different kernels for every different vendor. That's the most unslackware thing. It's the most unslackware thing you can think of. That's just not how it's done. But what I want to do, but it's a lot easier to do post-processing. So if I just take the existing Raspberry Pi installer image, mount it, delete the Slackware, replace the regular Slackware kernel, and in initrd with the version from the Raspberry Pi kernel package, and then just replace the Slackware kernel package with the Raspberry Pi kernel package, and then save it. It's done. Repack it, recompress the images in. That's all you have to do. It's not complicated because that image already has the proper layout. It already has the fat partition for the bootloader. It already has the bootloader.
That's true.
So it's not a big deal, right? It's just literally replacing the kernel image and the kernel Slackware package in the packaged repository. So I did look at the code that builds the images and thought, oh, I could probably do it there, but then that's a lot of work and it's just not worth it for something that's just a sort of one-off. But then, of course, I got thinking, well, if I could make a variant for the Raspberry Pi kernel fork image, then I could surely make a variant for any other kernel. So do I then tell ChatGPT to make the script generic so that you can,
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe later in the year if it rains, I might, look into that. So yeah,
That's funny.
But yeah, so in terms of like what's going on in the future, so you're working on your X13S.
Yes, I am.
When you want to. I'm curious to see how it works with Slackware on it at some point. You could just...
Well, it works and it boots and it gets network, but there's no Ethernet port. And the screen turns black. So I'm stuck at that point still.
Oh, okay.
It like loads the kernel and then it goes, the screen's just black. So I have to figure something out, but
okay.
probably look at other distros are doing to fix that. But
okay. So what the other thing I'll probably work on at some point is the reference documentation to onboard new hardware models. But to be honest, the longer I leave that, the easier it gets.
yeah.
The more hardware that's supported.
More things we fix and then it gets easier.
Yeah, exactly. So
Eh,
yeah, unless people want to start, really working on like helping out and contributing hardware model support, then it's not worth it at the moment. It's low priority.
yeah.
And also some of that mean sort of semi-mandates upstreaming some of the, making available the installer build system as well, which again, that's quite a bit of work, but cool. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much, I think yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, at the moment, I'm pretty happy with the way it is.
Yeah, we
Um,
have a lot of stuff done. Took a while, but there's only
yeah,
two of us.
yeah.
But
So I'm pretty pleased with that. Where are we with the Linux kernel? So we're on 6.12. Uh, we've got a 6.15 packet. Did I? So I
yeah,
made a. Oh
I've
yeah. So
been running 6.15 on my x86. Seems okay.
yeah,
But
but yeah, until yeah, at the moment we're just remaining with the long-term release.
yeah.
So yeah. I don't know when the next long-term release is planned for, actually. I haven't
Well, I
looked
think
into
it's
it.
the 6.16 is going to be LTS. But
Is it?
yeah, I've read that somewhere.
Oh, okay. Cool. I haven't checked that out. Good. Okay.
It might even say right there on the releases thing in the header, the link.
Mm,
Not quite.
no, it tells you which ones are supported. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. Where did you? Oh, okay. I thought I'd look for it recently because I was trying to see whether like what the likely because there's still that USB issue with the honeycomb. Oh, okay. Now it's happy today. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't
Just
know.
don't plug anything in. Just don't shut it down.
Yeah, yeah. There's I
And if it doesn't work, reboot it till it works.
But this is one of the issues that I don't think people generally are aware of. Unless you have a great volume, I don't know what great volume is, but like with thousands of people is probably my guess. At least several hundreds of people using the same version of Linux, and I don't mean the operating system. I mean the kernel, and on the hardware, these issues just generally don't get fixed.
Yeah.
That's generally how it works. And then even in this case, now I've learned this might even be because the setting, the device tree versus AHCI setting has been corrupted in the SPI flash. So I might need to reflash it and just change the settings again. I don't know. But originally it worked fine. The USB worked just great when you
I
first
know.
did the support. So, and I haven't broken it. There's literally nothing connected to the USB bus. It's nothing. It's completely,
Well, and what's interesting is further up in the log, it loads fine, and then it scrolls down a little bit.
yeah, I don't
At
know.
least that's what it was doing on mine. So you can see all the USB ports being found.
Yeah, but it finds I've never really discovered what SG0 is, but it's something to do with an optical drive in my experience, but there is nothing connected to it. Absolutely nothing. There's no CD drive connected
I don't
or any
know.
kind of optical media, so
I have noticed that too with the SG0.
I don't know what it's doing there.
But it's
Anyway,
just funny, like it loads the modules and then later it can't find the ports or something. It's weird.
it doesn't matter. It works nicely as my build machine. Anyway,
Yeah, you just need power and Ethernet, really. But
yeah. Um, Yeah, but yeah, exactly. Power and Ethernet and remote access over the serial console
yeah,
and storage, local storage, and that's it, right? I mean, that's pretty much that was the ARM32 baseline. With anything, as long as it's got serial access, Ethernet access, and storage, that's all I needed. That was it.
Yeah,
Low expectations, really. It's a low bar to entry.
yeah. Hard code
Um,
the kernel to be power save instead of performance and that power saving. But
okay. Yeah, I can't think of anything else at the top of my head. Uh, yeah, can't think of anything else. I'm just happy with the way everything is now.
oh yeah, and further down parked it says disk encryption and RAID. They work. It's just you gotta if you change your partitioning scheme from what we have in the installer, you're gonna have to adjust like the names of things in the boot pen line and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Or if you use a different file system, that stuff's got to be adjusted later. So you just
Okay.
install and then you just do it all in the jail after the installer is finished, but before rebooting.
Yeah, makes okay. I've not looked. I understand what you're saying. I've never tried it, but it makes sense. Yeah. Oh, I was just something else I was going to say. So the QEMU stuff would be quite nice to see. That I'd like to see how that's working. Actually, that'd be quite cool.
Yeah,
Because I'm just worried. The only reason why I'm interested in QEMU isn't really for me actually, because obviously I've got enough ARM hardware. I don't need to emulate it particularly well. I mean, I'm not going to be using QEMU myself when I've got virtualization on the Mac. So, but I think in terms of other people who, some of the people
yeah.
who
No, I
maintain
only
the
use it on my
Slackware,
x86 now. Yeah,
yeah. If it's fast enough these days, I mean, bear in mind, I last used it on a really old um, x86-64 machine. It's now like 12, 13 years old, and it was pretty slow, but and it was a long time ago. Well, the hardware is still, I still have the hardware and it still works. But I'm thinking for people, for maintainers of the build scripts on here, because there's been much more interest. There's been an uptick of interest in the people using Slackware AArch64. So if any of the maintainers of these packages want to try them on AArch64, and they can do that easily with QEMU, then that's quite a nice, reasonably frictionless way of doing that.
yeah,
That'd be quite cool to do that.
yeah. And I think
You can show actually. We can do a video. We can do a vlog episode. You can just show me how it will show us how it works.
yeah, and Vert Manager will work with Linux containers too. Like it has a tie-in.
Okay.
You just connect differently to them. You have to configure it, but I haven't figured that part out yet. But
Are you
there's a
are you
feature
talk
for that.
are you talking about
So
LXC or you what kind of?
yes, yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay. Oh,
There's
cool.
a package you have to add. I think I forget what it was. Um,
Okay.
and you do have to install the EDK2 UEFI firmware off SPO2 to use a generic image, the ISO. So otherwise, it won't know how to use the UEFI stuff.
Oh,
But
okay. Okay.
yeah, it uses the same firmware as for the UEFI as the Honeycomb in QEMU. So it's
Okay.
not exactly the same file, but the same software.
Yeah, the tricomb or try whatever it's called. Yeah, that one.
Plan Core, I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what you use in I think
VMware. Yeah,
VMware. Yeah, the yeah, the VMware virtualization platform. It has that because you can access. You can. I think I have it loaded actually. Hold
yeah,
on. Parallel. No, it's not parallels. It's the other one. Anyway, yeah. There's that one. What else? Is there anything else I wanted to do? Uh, there's something else I was looking at on here. Oh yeah, QEMU. We just talked about that. Yeah, there's some things on here like offering to upgrade the EEPROM firmware and in the installer. I'm not doing that. That can be just scratched off the list as a idea I'm never going to do. There's certain things to do in the installer, and that's not one of them.
yeah. No, brick your Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, exactly. Not doing that, thanks. Um, there's one of the thing I wanted to say, and I've forgotten what it is. Don't remember what it is. Okay. But yeah, uh, if you're sure, I mean, if you're sure that the 16.16 is going to be the next release, it kind of makes sense to just wait for the Raspberry Pi 5, wait until that's released before you look at it. I don't see the point in looking at it anytime
Yeah,
soon.
I'm still following like Git. Like every day I do a poll and I check like the log and stuff. So
Okay.
see what they're adding in. Um,
Okay.
Meaning the Raspberry Pi does what they're upstreaming. I mean, if they can do that pretty quickly by 616, then yeah. But
Okay.
we all know that story.
No, yeah, 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 I know. I really do wish they would have changed the way they integrate, they engage with the upstream. But I was looking at though, it's not, yeah, I was looking, I pointed you to an article, didn't I, about about uh, to do with the Honeycomb LX2, with the guys who are trying to get their AHCI support upstreamed
Yeah.
for the US. I think it's to do with no, it's just to do with
Yeah, they
AHCI.
never accepted the patch or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it's not as straightforward. So actually, it's one of those things where you want to move forwards with it for your own hardware. You don't want all the friction of working with upstream, but ultimately it reduces people like regular distributions like Slackware, Debian, Arch, all the other ones that actually use the upstream Linux Torvalds kernel can't use it, or has
Yeah.
bugs or feature gaps, and
When I think Solid Run,
it's a
they
shame.
just still run a 515 kernel or something
Do
for
they?
their BSP. So,
Yeah. Well,
I guess it works, but
yeah,
it's
it's a
just
little
so
bit.
old.
Cool. So is there anything else I should put on the work in progress? I don't think there is there, at the moment?
No, only thing I have on my list is the ThinkPad and the Pi 5. I don't, I haven't bought anything recently other than
Yeah,
this newer laptop. So,
cool. Okay. Yeah, I think that's all I've got to say on the matter at the moment. There really
yeah.
was something else on the top of my head. It popped up, but then I got distracted and I forgot what it was. There's something in this list made me triggered something. I can't remember what it was. Uh, no. Oh,
Because I didn't need,
I assume KDE still crashes on the Raspberry Pi 4. In fact, it's bound to,
that's what
unless
I
the
was looking at. I was laughing about the seg fault. I
I don't
don't
know. I
know if
mean,
that'll ever be fixed at this point.
probably not. Well, it's to do with the kernel, though, as far I mean, because it works fine with the Raspberry Pi kernel fork.
Yeah.
So, but to be honest, anyway, running KDE on a Raspberry Pi, I mean, it works, but they're not the fastest machines in the world. So,
Yeah. It
probably,
slows a lot.
probably it's not the worst. It's not the worst problem to have.
Yeah.
XFCE is a good substitute, though. Just take a quick look at the forum, see what's going on in there. I don't think there's much. It's kind of cool. Oh, this was it. Yeah, the Orange Pi 4 LTS. So actually, I already added in. You know what I did? I just looked at the for this. Basically, it was just a case of adding. I think I just did
Yeah.
that
I
one
guess a 4.
because it's. What did I do here? Yeah, I was asking, just wanting whether what the. Oh, maybe he actually included it. I didn't realize. Oh no, he didn't. No. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just trying to find out what the hardware model type name was on there, and I think I just added the what was it again? RK33. I think I just added it into here. Yeah, there you go. I just assumed that it's probably what's in the art in the DTB and just added it in. So I mean, that's what's in there, so it probably is.
Yeah.
I think that's usually how it is, isn't it? If you do Yeah, it's like if you do this one. Oh, ah. Yeah, usually that's you get that name there. You can that's what's reflected in the um, in the device tree model. That's what's populated. So I assume that that's probably what it is, but I don't know. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much done. So yeah, that's cool. I think everything's in pretty good order. Mm,
Yeah, let's see. I don't think there's anything else really.
no, it's cool.
We've been kind of hanging out, trying to
Well,
just consume.
yeah, I've had loads going on recently, so I haven't had a chance to do that much else. Well, actually, to be honest, building the ISO, that was quite an accomplishment for the generic EFI based systems. That was quite a bit of work actually to get that done. Yeah. All right, Brent. I think we'll call it here then. Otherwise, we'll just start telling shaggy dog stories.
There's no stories here.
No stories now. Okay. Right, man. It's good to talk to you. And
Yeah.
thanks if you guys made it through this far. Well done. If you enjoy the project and you want to sponsor paying for maintenance and hardware and maybe even help buy an Apple a Mac Mini M4, that'd be great. Let me know. Then I'll build packages even faster. Actually, maybe people should buy that. Maybe some guys should buy an Apple MacBook M4 for themselves, and they can just build all of the Slack builds packages in probably like a couple of hours.
Yes.
Hmm.
9,000 packages or something. There'd probably be some build failures though. But what can you do?
Oh, there'll be a few build failures. Yeah. Oh, actually, do you want to see? Look, seeing as this is UTM. Look, so oh, this is the machine I set up to the VM I set up. Look how fast it boots. This is the one I set up to build GCC 15 in it. This is how fast it boots. Okay, one.
Just loads the kernel and then it just DHCP.
Yeah, that was a bit of time, wasn't
Yeah,
it? There we
that's
go.
about the same as the Lenovo here, the ThinkPad. It boots real quick. If I could just get the installer to work instead of having to install with a chroot, you know. But yeah, it boots pretty quickly.
It does. I think the installer boots even faster than that, actually. If you power
Oh
off,
yeah, that's all in memory. That's all in memory. So
well, this doesn't make much. If I delete that, don't need that, so I can delete that. I build a new one. I look at. Oh, so we're going to finish the session, but yeah. Pick
yeah,
that one. Yeah, that's fine. Blah 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 blah. Oh, what was that? Oh, see, yeah, CT4 that's fine. Yeah, there we go. Boot it. So this is what I mean before. So this is how the menus change. So you've got the top one for all supported models for the EFI based systems of virtualization. Then you've got the Honeycomb LX2 and then the X30. I've got to change it. Oh, I changed that earlier, didn't I? In the source tree. Yeah.
X31.
Yeah, X13S. Yeah, there we go. There we go. There's the installer. Boom. That's pretty fast,
Yeah,
isn't it?
that's exactly what happens on this x86. The slow part is when it writes to disk in the VM.
Okay.
So, but I'm sure it's faster on yours
This
on the
is
Mac.
this is so much faster that you wouldn't believe. It's just unbelievable how fast it is. That's why it's so good to just be able to just quickly test things.
Yeah, see if the
Right.
installer boots or whatever.
Well, yes, exactly. It means that testing the installer, like testing a new version of the kernel, is so easy because I don't have to physically unplug anything. I don't have to wonder, oh, I wonder if it'll break. Like on a Raspberry Pi, oh, it's going to break. It doesn't. It just
Yeah,
I can test it and get pretty confident that it's going to work, and then actually test it on real hardware. So it makes
Yeah.
everything just easier. So I'm really pleased with the state of this board now. Very
Yeah,
pleased. So
it's really come together, especially in the last 6 months.
yeah. Well, yeah,
So
I mean, and also a lot of it's because of you as well, because of all the work you did up front to make it to
oh
get all the
god.
hardware working.
Man, just load me up with some Monster energy drinks and I'll like go.
I'll buy you some off Amazon and have them delivered.
Yes.
You'll
Have
get a
like
truckload of
cases of them delivered. So
yeah.
if
It's
anyone
just
wants to contribute that to the project,
what Brent's monster at my. So they'd kill Brent as polluting with crap. So
he'll get it all done, but he may die at 50.
sorry, just let me press enter. Just about to. Look. I'm back.
I stop. My hands are all.
You're shaking. Yeah. God. Okay. Bye, guys. See you
All
in the next
right.
one. See you
See ya.
later.